So you and I have talked countless amounts of times over the years, and I know we've covered a lot of the work stuff.
How long have we known each other now? 10 years this year, I'd say.
2014,
Yeah,
early 2015, I would probably 2014 actually.
I think 2014 because we took the pilot for Cops and Monsters to MCon.
Yeah.
2014, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so whenever let's have a quick Google. When was MCon 2014? Was it MCon?
EM, yeah, EM-COM. I knew it was MCon.
It was March 16th. So
wow.
March 16th, 2024 is our 10-year anniversary.
And that's the first time we met.
Yeah, because we chatted on.
Yeah, we chatted on Twitter, RIP Twitter, and things like that. So, and then we eventually, because I didn't just show up at MCon going, "Hey, I'm just going to jump on stage and just ask all you lot questions." I have no idea.
I got you in. I got you ahead of the queue.
You did, and I got filmmaker Dominic Burns in as well. Nice. It was my first little ego trip. It was amazing. It's like, get him in. He doesn't have to queue. He's made films. He knows the person that was from This Is England who's over there. He wants to see it. He's one of us. One of us. Yep.
That was a weird event, man. That was weird. They did not anticipate how popular that was going to be.
No.
Because the queues were out the door for hours and hours and hours. Because our panel started at whatever time it started, and not that
you were on before Doctor Who, or was it after Doctor Who?
We were on before Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Red Dwarf was after us, and you managed to convince them to push everything back.
Because how does that happen with somebody like me who has never ever stood on a stage before goes, no, I think you're gonna have to delay these people.
Confidence. And it was out the door, and I think it was the only time it happened, Cops and Monsters trended on Twitter because everyone was tweeting about it in the hall, and people were tweeting about it outside saying that they were missing the panel and they were upset.
I wish I'd have recorded better video from that event.
The first time, yeah.
The first time, yeah.
A 2-part video of just our panel that ends with quite frankly, a bigoted transphobe nervously singing Bane's rap at the end of our panel. That's our panel.
Oh, I remember the Bane rap. I mean, I look at the picture of a lot of the Cops and Monsters people. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened to them. it's 10 years. Left. You're left.
I'm left. Yeah, but of course I am, because apparently I've got an ego on me.
I apparently have an ego because I was delaying a Red Dwarf panel. I remember somebody standing at the side, one of the MCon staff, going, "You need to run." I'm like, yeah, well, I just ignored him. I'm not finished yet. You know, what are they going to do? Drag me off this? I'd have gone viral. I don't think I've ever gone viral, but I might have gone viral on that occasion.
Yeah, you'd be cancelled now.
From what, though? You know, I get to hang around. Do you know one of my favourite days was yesterday?
Okay.
Because, and there's a lot of supportive creatives. I nearly said filmmaker there, but I know you think of yourself more as a writer now, so I have to pause.
No, I'll take the filmmaker.
Filmmaker, okay.
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm just a creator type.
Creative. I'll call you a creative. And there's a lot of supportive people and stuff around. And it seems that over the past few days, it's like you put a posting out, I share it. You then share something of mine. Natalie Kennedy will share something.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca will share something. It just seems this tiny little cluster of like us 4 people that are just constantly sharing each other's content. And it's really nice. And I had so much fun yesterday.
But it plays into our resolution of we will reciprocate shares.
Yeah.
And we will share and support people who will share our stuff. So David Barris, who is a chat about with me and him going up at some point, I'm going to bank like maybe 3 or 4 interviews in case I don't get one for a month. So I'm going to bank like 4 interviews with like creatives, whoever they may be, and I'm going to put them up once a month on my channel. But I chatted to David, and he made Electric Man. That was their first film in about 2012, and they had a blast getting that out there. They were like us when I did 90s Day, but they've now got this guy who's retired, but his whole shtick is like converting old films into 3D, like films that are out of copyright.
Okay.
So he's taken Electric Man and turned it into like a proper 3D film with the old red and blue glasses. So they're now Electric Man's getting a second shot of life. So the minute that crowdfunding launched yesterday, I was like, share.
Yeah, and then I saw that you'd shared it, so I'm like, well, I guess I have to share that because I trust that what you share is worthy, and then I'll just share it because it usually is. You don't waste your time on things that.
So I did have a scattergun approach where I was sharing everything and anything, until my wife pointed out, she went, "But that's your endorsement. So if it is crap, then people will go, well, why is he supporting crap stuff?"
Yeah.
So that's why I'm married. But so she's wise. So I've limited for two reasons. I've limited what I share now because I have to actually think it's good, and not just scattergun it. And two, I have to only share if people reciprocate that.
Yeah.
Because there's two people in my circle who don't share my stuff, and I share their stuff all the time. But I have officially stopped.
Yeah. It's one of our not many, but it's one of our list of New Year's resolutions.
Because I also appeared in one of the person's YouTube content quite a lot, because I thought it made it better's the wrong word because that gives me a bit of a head, but it changed. It was just no longer that one person just rambling for an hour and a half, to have someone to bounce off of. And I did it with another friend who I love dearly, and he and I have great banter. But I'm done. I'm absolutely done. So I think it's time we only share the right stuff.
Why do you think some people don't share? And I'm not I don't mean specific content, but why do you think some people go
self-centeredness? I think that maybe they feel that they don't have to, because if people share my stuff, well, I'll share back.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think it's self-centeredness. I think it's just ego. They're like, well, you know, why should I? Either that was thoughtlessness, and I don't know which of the two is worse.
But do you not find? I mean, we're on all the social media platforms. Well, most of them anyway, 512 of them or whatever. But I'm not a huge fan of looking at somebody's timeline if it's just their own content.
No, but on the flip side of that, I get bored if it's just retweet, and there's no original. I like a balance of like what they have to say, but also supporting other people.
Yeah, and that's not difficult to do though, is it? You go, well, I'm going to type a bunch of tweets or whatever, Facebook postings out, and then I'm going to share half a dozen things.
It takes a minute.
And then I'm going to, exactly. Sometimes even less. Just click. But I've noticed a lot of the time on social media, people are just, it seems to be an advertising board, you know, and it's buy this, buy that, buy this, donate to this, donate, and it's like, no, I don't have any money. You know, there's no point me reading your timeline.
I think it shows the state of the country, that especially like not the first ones to go, because there are people who are far more deserving of money and support than we are. We're quite far down the ladder here. But as creatives, you know, writers, publishers, filmmakers, you know, all of it, we are not getting supported by the government on either side of the border. Like, there's just no support for creatives like us. So we have to go, I've got a coffee page, chuck in what you can. I've got a Patreon, chuck in what you can. I'm running a Kickstarter, chuck in what you can. Do you know what I mean? We don't have any other choices. Like our one funding body there's two, is Creative Scotland. For film and TV, there's Creative Scotland, but they've delegated a short film strand to another body called Short Circuit. But Short Circuit get their money from Creative Scotland, I believe. They're all hand in hand. But we pick like 5 people to support all year round, and I have banged my head against their door so many times only to get rejected time and time again. And they just constantly move the goalposts. So it's like, you know, we crowdfunded Cops and Monsters Series 1, 20 grand or whatever. We went to do Series 2. We've had really good experienced broadcast writers, and we went back to them and they were like, oh, have you tried crowdfunding? Like, email 1 was, we had crowdfunded Series 1, we raised this much money, can you support us make Series 2? Have you tried crowdfunding? I'm like, okay, so that's not going to work.
Like, have you tried reading my initial email? Would have been my response.
And then we went to them for an animated series we want to do all about Scottish fairy tales, like an anthology series. And they're like, And I said, oh, I've got an international producer. He's done all this great stuff in Australia, UK, Canada, New Zealand. And like, oh, no, you need a Scottish producer with experience. I'm like, okay then. So we went and got a Scottish producer. Oh, no, that's the wrong Scottish producer. You need someone who's got animated experience. Yep. So then I went back to them for the feature film funding, because, again, my producer, tons of feature films under his belt. Oh, no, we don't look at the producer for these projects. We look at the writers, and you don't have enough experience.
It sounds like it's the equivalent of me saying, Fraser, go to the library and get me a book. So you come back with a Stephen King one. I'm like, oh, no, I don't like Stephen King. Go get me another one. You come back with a Joe Nesbo and you're like, oh, I don't like that sort of book either. Go get me, rather than go get me a new 50 Shades of Grey book or whatever. Rather than be specific and tell you what I want on day one. That's how
hard it is. And that's been the landscape since I started in 2000 and what? So we did 90s Day in 2012, and I got asked to go on a BBC radio programme to talk about it. And we were sat next to the head of Scottish Screen at the time, and he just had his paper up or a phone up. He wasn't paying attention to me. And then when he realised we were both interviewed at the same time, he was like, oh, Screen Scotland are brilliant. We're doing this project, that project, this project, this project. I said, well, actually, you're not. You're doing one a year. Why is it only one a year? And who do you choose? Because we came to you and you said no, but you didn't give us a reason. So I cornered him after the interview, and I said, right, what do I do now? I've made a movie on no money. What do we do now? And it opened at the Glasgow Film Festival. Oh, now that you've made that movie, that's your calling card, so you can come back to us with your second movie. I was like, sweet, brilliant. Went back to them with the second movie. No, we can't help you.
Did he give a reason for the we can't help you the second time, or no?
We weren't experienced enough. That's all.
Wow.
It's either you're not experienced enough or you don't have the right producer, which is hogwash, because I now have the right producer.
And you're experienced, and you've got the right producer, and yet it sounds like there'll still be something that makes it difficult.
I'm curious now, right? Because I'm sure you're going to get onto this, but a documentary that I pitched to a production company that got made and went out on BBC Alba over Hogmanay twice, and is now on iPlayer for 26 days, depending if it goes out. And probably today, knowing you. And I'm curious now if that's going to shift the board.
Do you think it will?
No.
Really? Even though it's like you helped produce a documentary that's on the BBC. You've worked with the BBC before, but you know what I mean.
This is the first time I went to the BBC with an idea and it's got made. But it got made because we were attached to a production company who'd already had work produced by BBC Alba, and it's a company that won awards with their work. Fingers crossed. But I don't know. I can't call it. But what I did find quite interesting, that yesterday I put out a post across my socials, so Twitter, Facebook, not Instagram, I'll maybe do Instagram today, and LinkedIn. And I was like, I'm in a really fortunate position where I've got two projects that are out there. So Cops and Monsters is back on Amazon Prime, and Ceol Sith, aka the Fairy Song, is now out on iPlayer. And I had 31 views on my LinkedIn profile yesterday, but because I don't have premium and I refuse to pay for premium, I don't know who it is. But it says 5 people who worked for the BBC, 3 people who worked at this production company, people who might have jobs for you. So people are watching me, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah, unless you pay for premium.
And I'm not doing it.
No, don't do it. You can't afford it. It's like I think
it's like £50 or £60 a year.
Yeah.
And as previously mentioned.
Exactly. So your documentary, you must be really proud of that.
I am so unbelievably proud of that, because I've always said the reason I went to the BBC in the first place, when I first interviewed for a training scheme at the BBC, the production talent pool is what it was called. And basically, it's just a bunch of runners going, please give me work. There's no real, you get 2 days of training, then you're on your own. So, but at the interview with 2 women who worked at the BBC who didn't know me, didn't read my CV, they admitted that. They said, we've not read your CV, so tell us who you are. And I was like, great, guys, thanks. And they told me at the time that I would not be a good fit for the BBC and I wouldn't be happy working there. And I was like, well, why wouldn't I be happy working there? They're like, oh, we've got rules and guidelines and we have to abide by the broadcasting code. all
Right.
stuff. And they're not wrong, right? To a degree, the BBC they suck creativity out of you because you're regimented, you're in a position, and that's what you do. But I got in because I said to them, I said, I want to know how. I have an idea, and now it's on TV. That was 2013. Now I know how it works.
What's the biggest thing you've learned since? I mean, your writing career goes back 20 years since you wrote the short Night is Day, Dusk. Short.
Doesn't exist anymore. Nobody has it.
It's gone. You've George Lucased it, have you?
No, it's lost media because I don't have the original videotape of it anywhere. I might have given it might be on DVD. Some crew might have it, but we don't talk to them. And the crew that I do talk to and the cast that I do talk to don't have it anymore. I used the Wayback Machine on the old website, and I went back to 2000 and God, it'd be like 5 or 6, and I found a WMV file. Remember WMV file?
Yeah, I do.
It was a 6-minute preview, so that's all I've got in the trailer and a behind the scenes.
So I would lost.
I would love to find it and watch it back, and I'd love to be one of those wankers and did a reaction.
Well, if any of the cast or crew who you don't talk to does have it, I'll talk to you. I don't mind. Send it to me, and then I might accidentally send it to Fraser. Accidentally send it to him by a WeTransfer or something. But I guess it makes you a bit sad that that's lost.
So sad. And this is why I went for a wee phase of uploading everything. So there was like 2 scenes in the 90s Day movie that didn't make it into the final cut of the film, and I have since edited them and fixed the sound and put music on it and graded it and uploaded it just for prosperity.
Yeah.
So it's all about future proofing. So the first short film of mine that exists online is Bottle. Mm-hmm. And I think we did Bottle after 90s Day, or maybe just before.
Yeah, I think it was on your IMDb. It's listed just after, but it's IMDb. They do what they want, put it in whatever order, don't they? So, yeah. What's the biggest thing you've learned since you first decided to start writing stuff to the stuff you write now? Is there one thing that stands out? We're like, oh, God, I can't believe I used to do that in 2004.
Get a script editor. There's so many writers of egos. I was one of them who go, I have written this 200-page masterpiece and I'm going to go sell it and I'm going to get it made. I've got 50,000 scripts here. One's World War II, one's this, one's that, one's this, and I want to get it made. And you go, right, get a script editor, focus on 1 or 2, get a script editor, get your notes. You don't have to listen to them. Like, script editors are great. They're not pushy. They're like, here is my recommendations, here's my suggestions, and you can take them or you can ignore them. I would take them.
Yep.
I mean, so Origins of the Layok pilot, a pilot is on draft 9.
Wow. Yeah.
And the best version of it will be, I imagine there's a few more drafts coming once another producer comes on board. But a script editor. I wish I had a script editor on Night's Day, the web series. I wish I had a script editor on Night's Day, the movie. I had a script editor on Cops and Monsters, and it shows.
So I'm guessing a script editor will take the draft that you're 100% proud of and you're like, this is perfection. I'm going to start writing my Oscar speech right now because it's brilliant. You give it to a script editor and he or she goes through it going, well, actually, what's a couple of examples you can give of things that a script editor will do?
Get rid of this character. You don't need them.
It's like, but they're the main character. I need John McClane. I need him. Who else is going to be in Nakatomi Plaza?
But they're my favourite character. Kill your darlings.
Yeah.
They're, like, drop this act, get rid of this scene. You don't need this scene. Maybe merge these 2 scenes. Like, the best bit of advice I was given that sticks in my head was from James T. Harding, who is my script editor, wrote in Cops and Monsters, has developed Origins with me. He's retired from writing. He's now got a job for DC Thompson, who do like the Beano Dandy and everything. Yeah. I'm going to bring him back on Origins as soon as I can. But his best thing is, like, in a scene with 2 characters, they're conflicted because one wants one thing and one wants another. That's where your drama or comedy is. So what does Stuart want and what does Fraser want? What's the conflict and how do they resolve it? They don't have to resolve it. they could walk away. So we'll agree to disagree, or it can burst into a fight. But that's how to make an interesting scene. Is what do you want and what do they want, and how does that play out? Also, there's a book called Into the Woods, not to be confused with the musical or the.
Yeah, there's no songs in this book.
By who wrote Into the Woods?
It better not have been James.
John York.
John
York. And it's how stories work and why. So he basically says Harry Potter, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Matrix, and The Wizard of Oz, all the same film.
Yeah. Because there's the thing, I think it's 7, isn't it? There's only 7 plot lines.
Yeah, was that not a Star Wars thing?
No, it's an actual thing. Because I don't have the list, but
sure. I remember watching one of the making of Star Wars documentaries that George Lucas did, and I think he said that there's only 7 or 11 original ideas. And and so yeah, Into the Woods as a writer, for years I resisted it because I was like, I don't need to know how to write. I know how to write. And then I read the book, I was like, okay, maybe I don't know how to write.
Maybe I've learned a few hundred things from this book. It's fine. So I'm guessing with writing scripts, you don't just go, right, here's a bunch of scripts that I've written over the years. So Fraser, I did props and everything. So here's a bunch I've written them. I think that personally they were amazing. I think they're great. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. They're great. I'm quite proud. I'm quite proud of some of them. And I go, you're a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want one? Which one do you want? Do you want one of these? Do you want that one?
I'll take the middle one. Give me the middle one.
That one. Give me the middle one. Brilliant. So when's it out? When's it going to be on Netflix? I think there's a weird, and we've both seen it. We've seen this thing where people just write like machines, and they then go right. They don't know what to do next.
Yeah, and it's difficult, right? So there's 2 approaches that I've dealt with in my life. One, make it yourself. And when we did 90s Day Dusk, and when we did Bottle, like up until we did, what came first, Bloodline or 1 year later? I'm going to say Bloodline came first. So from 2005 to 2012, every project I did, short or web series, had no money. There was 0 money. We didn't have any. We didn't have the backing of Creative Scotland. Crowdfunding was a while away. So we just went and did it. We got a camera, we got a crew, we got equipment, we got people, we got bodies who were enthusiastic. We went and made it. And we put out, I don't know, 7, 8 short films and 2 seasons of a web series. And we did it. And we did it ourselves. And we put it out into the world. And we went, here's our work. And some people loved it. Some people hated it. Some people were indifferent. But we learned. And everything you do, you learn. You make all your mistakes and you go do it again. And then you'll make new mistakes and you learn and you do it again. And this is not new. I'm not reinventing the wheel. This is just what it is. Then we came to crowdfunding and we crowdfunded Bloodline, which was a pilot about 3 people in Scotland who had special abilities and they worked together, and basically a portal to another world was opened. It's very much like Origins, but Origins is better. And it was about the 3 working together to stop this creature from like completing a mission. And we shot for 6 days and we crowdfunded it and we got a stack of money to pay people a bit and to pay for that. And we made the pilot and it went nowhere. It would be different now because I know more, and I wouldn't have just let it die. I would have, and I know where it would have went now. It's on my YouTube. It's got like 10,000 views. It's ridiculous. But that was first. So crowdfunding and go make stuff with whatever money you can get. And then the other approach was when I had Origins, I went on to Film Bang, which is a page, a database of every cast, not actors, but all the crew, up to producers, production companies. And I found the producers that were on there. I Googled them to see, do you work on the type of work that I want to do? Sci-fi, fantasy. If they were, I emailed them and I said, I've got a project. I've got it this far along. I need someone experienced as you to take it further. Can we have a chat? And 9 out of 10 will say no. 9 out of 10 won't get back to you.
Yep.
Half out of 10 will go, thanks, but it's not for me. And then 2 will maybe say, yeah, let's have a chat.
And do you think that sort of format? I mean, I think the make it yourself is easier nowadays.
Oh yeah,
than it was like 10 or 15 years ago, whatever. Because
the BBC actually encourage you to go shoot a sizzle reel or a pilot for your show before you even take it to them.
Yep.
Which is lazy.
It is, but
But this
why should they do the work? But I think that's where you see a lot of people who, certain people who do keep pimping scripts out. Do you want one? Do you want one? Do you want writers? Do you want writers? So like, I just want to go back to them and go, just pick one that's like two people in a room or one person in a room. And if you've not got one of those scripts, make one, write something where it's somebody, they've broke their leg and they're stuck in an armchair or something that you could shoot with one camera, a minimal amount of people, minimal amount of crew, and use that as your calling card, which you'd mentioned earlier on. Your short film is now your calling card. But some people just don't. Some people just don't listen to advice from people that have done it. And by people who have done it, I mean you.
Here's a secret, and it's not a secret. And if you're watching, and you know who you are, filmmakers don't want scripts from other people.
No.
Because we've got them. We've written them ourselves. Or we're already in a partnership, and one's the director, and one's the producer, and one's the writer. Or one's a producer-director. So I work with Lucy Linger, who runs Linger Longer Films.
That is a co-production company name. That is brilliant. I love that.
Scifi Films and Linger Longer Films, just match made in heaven. I saw a thing. Disney were looking for pitches for a short film based on the word evolve. Lovely wee prompt. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna come up with something for this. And I had like about 2 weeks to come up with a script or something. But one of the remits where you had either your writer or your director had to come from an underrepresented background. So I was like, woman director. But you know me, I have directed every single project of mine. Not because I think I'm good at it. I don't. But it's money. I can't pay myself. I've been fortunate enough in some of the crowdfunding campaigns where we've raised enough money where I can give myself 100 quid. Mm-hmm. Like everyone else.
Yep.
Despite what people say. And he's off to Vegas with his girlfriend.
He's travelling the world again on a cruise ship. No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's having cocktails of the Todd from Scrubs. True story. So I went to Debbie Moon, who I write for, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I need a woman director. Can you recommend anybody? And she goes, I'll speak to somebody. She goes and speaks to Lucy Hay, another writer, and she comes back with Lucy Linger's name. So I emailed Lucy Linger, who she's done theatre, she's done some short films, she's got some scripts optioned in America, and I emailed her, I said, I'm going to enter this competition. I'd like to work with a woman director. Can we have a chat about it? And she was like, yeah, send me the script. And I went, I don't have one. I said, but I've got a very good idea. Because when we're doing Origins, I've been researching all these fairy tales. So I've got 52 creatures, characters, whatever from Scottish fairy tales. And I went through them all and I went, what would work for this short? And up came the Cooshie, which is a fairy dog, a Grim Reaper fairy dog, who will howl 3 times. And if you hear it the 3rd time, it will chase you, grab you, and drag you through to hell. Or the other world, whatever you want to. And I was like, right, there's a young girl, she's 13 years old, her mum died when she was younger, she wants to get her mum back. In order to do that, she needs to capture a fairy dog, get to a portal, and go through and find her mum. That's the story, right? Very Disney. So I spoke to Lucy, we had a call, she loved the idea, I went away and wrote the script. We're now on draft 8.
How long did that first draft take?
A week.
And is that a week of how many hours per day, or is it just
maybe that was 3 hours a night? So my wife would take our son to bed, our young son to bed, and I would sit in the living room, and then she would go to bed when he was in bed, and I would sit in my living room listening to Doctor Who music or scores from Brave, or what did I have on? I had Braveheart on at one point because it's a beautiful soundtrack. And I wrote for about a week over through the nights, and just, I think it's 15 pages now.
And how much of the original draft remains in the current draft?
90%.
Okay.
But Lucy had ideas, and they were good. And there was a point where it was 3 pages too long, and I just sent it to Lucy and I went, I trust you.
What makes you think that it was so many pages too long? Was that like a guide that you'd set yourself, or
Disney were like, it has to be 15 pages?
Right.
But I chronically write too long.
So do you find it easier to cut things out than add things?
I find it easier to give to someone else to cut.
You find it easier, yeah. Hand it off to somebody else.
I trust you. But then we ended up casting Kimberly Nixon, and Kimberly's been in Fresh Meat, Outlander. She did a Channel 4 thing about the office parties that weren't supposed to happen in the Tory party over Christmas.
Okay. Parties? There were no parties. There were work dues.
Yeah,
no parties.
The police didn't see it. They were too busy partying. So we did that, and she's done a stack of other things. She's done a Christmas movie called Christmas in England or something. And so we cast her as to play the mum. But the mum only had one scene at the end. And I was like, we can't have BAFTA winning Kimberly Nixon
in one scene.
So I wrote a second scene, which just kind of bookends it a little bit, and it kind of gives our main character a bit of a drive, more of a drive. And so I sent it to Lucy. I said, you can cut anything you want, but not those 2 scenes.
Yeah.
I said, because it's Kimberly Nixon, and we're not doing that. So yeah, that's how that worked, and we worked together, and we sent it to Debbie, and Debbie gave us notes. Just send it to people that you trust. There was a writer a while ago, it was last year, and they were like, oh, this production company liked my pilot, but they want me to make notes. They want me to make changes, but I don't have time to make any changes. And I was like, well, you shouldn't do it then. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, well, if you don't have time to make it perfect,
yeah,
then don't do it. Like, you can't. And there's so many. There's a guy I know who made a film. It's on Amazon Prime, amazingly, and he made it the same time we did 90s Day. And he's a good friend of mine, and I like him, but he's delusional as all hell. And he has written a script for the sequel. And I said to him, right, get a script editor and just, because it was like 200 pages, Stuart, right? It was ridiculous. And I said, right, get it down to 90 pages. 90 minutes is a great time for a film where you have to get the money for it.
Yep.
And he went, no, I'm done. I don't think I'm going to make any changes.
He's never going to get a 200-minute film made. I mean, that's longer than Killers of the Flower Moon, and people were whinging that was
Cuba.
Wow. I remember I did a podcast years ago with a couple of producers, and they said the most expensive line you could ever write is, and then a fleet of helicopters flew overhead. And he's like, for that one line, you're like, oh God, that's going to cost a fortune. So
well, that was cool. I'm writing a feature film from a producer in Australia, and he said, have the final battle, but battles are expensive. So rather than this big fight scene, end it this way. And I was like, okay, cool. And basically, the two armies meet on the battlefield, but they don't fight. The other side just go, actually, we're on the same side here. Yep. And it works thematically. Like, we plotted it all out, and it works. So I did the first draft, 145 bloody pages. That'll go down a bit. And I sent off to the script editor, and I sent it to him. He goes, yeah, maybe we do need lights in the sky, energy beams in the sky. Again, we do need a big battle. And I said to him, but you said not to do that because budget. And he'll get money. Like, he has time and time again got money for his projects. And he said, yeah, but we'll worry about that later. It needs a beam in the sky moment.
Yeah, because we've all seen films where we're like, oh, I can see where this is headed, and then it doesn't, and you're like, well, that was a terrible film because I didn't get what I thought.
Now, that's prerequisite, as it might still end up with that original.
You don't know, and whatever works, doesn't it? As long as it fits within the sort of the roller coaster journey of the full story, then it fits.
I think my point is, there is one. I think my point is, you have to be adaptable. Yep. Like, you might have an idea in your head and say, this is it, and someone will go to you, but try it that way. and you're like, oh yeah, shit, that does work. And
was there ever a point in your life, though, your writing life or your directing life, where you've done something, you've got, this is brilliant, I love it, it's great, and then your script editor or somebody you've given it to for feedback goes, that doesn't work, and you're like, how dare you? Yes, it does, even though you might be wrong. Because obviously, it's like when you're sitting down writing something, if you're writing it on your own, it's you that's writing it. You could sit down for 2 weeks and write whatever you wish. It could be like 300 pages. Nobody else has seen it until you show it to them.
Yeah.
So, and so
maybe
there's like an ego type thing,
yeah,
I think, isn't there?
Maybe definitely in the past I would have been like that. I'd probably like, yeah, fine, whatever. And I can happily admit that I was probably too egotistical at one point. But not now. And not once with a script editor or Debbie or Lucy have I ever went, well, that's a terrible idea, I'm not going to do it. Because I trust my gut.
Yeah.
When we were pitching Origins, we had a producer on board, quite high profile, like done Electric Dreams on Channel 4, did Doctor Who, done a lot, like knows their stuff. And he sat with me for 45 minutes on Zoom and he said, I don't like your pilot and here's why. And he said, here's what I would do differently. And I listened to him and I took the notes. I went back to Debbie and James. I said, these are the notes. And Debbie was like, okay, page 1, rewrite. So I went back to the drawing board and you do a scene by scene. So you write down everything. No, you don't. You write an outline and you write like a page of, here's everything that happens in this episode. Here's what it sets up. Here's what it does. And then once that gets signed off, you then go to a scene by scene. So you go, right, scene 1, meet the characters. Scene 2, meet the environment. Scene 3, you're inciting incident. Effie falls down a well, accidentally opens a portal to the other world, all hell breaks loose. It's an inciting incident. And you break it down scene by scene, what happens. Then you send that back to the team, and the team go, yep, no, try that, da-da-da-da. You tidy that up, and then they go, cool, now it's ready to go to script. Yep. So then you rewrite the script. And that would probably been about draft 7 at that point, because it was page 1 rewrite. And then you go back forward, and then Debbie goes, right, I'm just going to do an overall polish over it, and I'm just going to tidy it. I'm just going to punch up the action or whatever. So your BAFTA winning writer comes along and punches up your script, and you read it and you go, fuck, she's a good writer.
Yeah, it's like, and I thought I was a good writer. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
I will always yield to Debbie's excellence.
Yeah.
But you just have to be all right with it, because they're not out to make it bad. They're not out to ruin you. They're not out to hobble you.
Mm.
Like Chris Chibnall, who ran Doctor Who from 2017 to 2020, 2021 maybe, so 5 years, 3 seasons. The rumour is that whenever anyone criticised his work, he would have strained ankle injury and he would just down tools and go, okay then. And he admitted that the finale for series 1 was a first draft. Don't do it.
No.
And it shows.
I think it's, if you write something or I write something and then somebody's like, I'd change this, I'd change that. I think in early days, you'd go, how dare you? You're critiquing my creativity. You're calling my baby ugly. What's the matter with you? Whereas nowadays you go, actually, you're critiquing these things or giving suggestions because you want to help me make this project be the best it can be.
So when you wrote the Mimi trilogy,
yeah,
which by God you will do one day.
With who? I don't know, but yeah.
I'll find you somebody, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to force you to make even part 1, Stuart. Even part.
Yes. I quite like part 3 personally. That's my favourite one. But yeah, big one.
It'll haunt you. First of all, haunt you forever.
Yeah, they're in that pile I was waving before somewhere.
It'll haunt you forever if you don't make it, right? Just let you know that. But secondly, did you send Mimi to anybody to read?
No. The only one because I knew that I was going to shoot it myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. It's like I knew that I was going to be behind.
But did you not think at any point, yes, okay, you're going to shoot it yourself, but at any point did you not think, I'd like to see if anybody has any thoughts on this?
I showed it to Annette, who came up with the initial idea of the Mimi character. And she really liked it. But then you've also got that danger. It's like if you send me something and go, what do you think? I'm not going to go, well, actually, Fraser, that's the worst thing I've ever written. That's the worst thing I've ever read. It's terrible. What's the matter with you? You're going to get friends who go, I like that. It's really good. Brilliant. And I think, Annette was not going to be rude.
I would be honest with you.
Good.
And not to be horrible, but I'd be like, if it was me, I would do this instead of that. Think about this. I had a friend, remember the bigoted transphobe we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
He wrote, I can say this, he wrote a short film about what if Superman turned bad, right? And can hear your thoughts and that. I don't think well, he had superhearing, I guess. It's not that he can read your mind. And he had these like 4 or 5 guys hiding out in the woods, and it was like end of days, and it was all over, and it was a really interesting concept. Done better by James Gunn. Did a film,
Brightburn.
Great film, horrific ending. Loved it. Right, good idea, done well. But he just had these 5 guys, right? And he brought it to me, and he went, right, will you help me make this? And I was like, yeah, of course, man. Like we worked together before. This is before he went off the deep end. He was probably already teetering on the diving board. But I said to him, well, I would put a woman character in there. I said, because it's just 5 guys, and that's a bit boring. Maybe put it's a different perspective if you put a woman in there.
Yeah,
it could be a woman. It could be an identifying woman, a trans character, whatever. He would never do that. I wish I suggested that.
Time travel, get a DeLorean.
But I said that, and he just totally poo-pooed it, and he just had no interest in it. I was like, well, you're proving yourself to be a bit of a sexist. But then he very awkwardly said to me, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go make it myself without you, because I feel like you're just gonna take it off me and do it without me, and blah blah blah. I was like, no, I'm here to facilitate. I'm here to help you. I have the resources. But I was like, no offense taken. And then he went and tried to film it. I said, how did you get on? He goes, yeah, it was terrible. We're not going to do it.
But I think sending the Mimi scripts, I sent them to obviously Lemissa's mum to look at, because Lemissa was going to be in it. And the feedback for that was fine. And the feedback was some dialogue changes. So Lemissa had read it and said, well, that word there, whatever it was, 12-year-old would never say that. It's not in it. And I'm like, that's a good point. So I altered it and changed it. So I'm never quite proud on that. I'm not like, no, you must read it word for word. But
you just have to be open to suggestions and not be scared of it. And as I said to you right at the start, you don't have to listen to the notes.
No,
you should. Yeah. But because when we were pitching Origins, and like, I was going to get bumped down to, instead of writing episode 1, I was going to get bumped down to created by in episode 2. And they wanted to bring in another writer who had more credits than me to rewrite the first episode. This did not sit right with me at all, right? My gut was going, and the reason it was happening, I was like, I have created so much of this world's characters, IP, monsters, spin-offs. I've got a pilot I'm going to start writing for an animated series that's set back in the 18th century, right at the start. Not right at the start, but kind of in the middle, the peak. It's like the height of the Jedi. It's the height of the Leok, like our gods, the gods and goddesses. And I've got an outline for that. I'm going to start writing it this week. And I had all that planned, and I could just see it getting taken away off me. And it's like, this is your sacrifice. You can maybe get your show made. It can maybe happen, but you have to make all these changes. And the people coming in were like, so my show is set in Scotland, set in the Highlands. It's about a young woman. She's like 17, and she lives in San Francisco all her life. She got taken away from Scotland. She comes back. She was born in Scotland, taken away when she was like 3 years old. Comes back when she's 18, and all hell breaks loose. And they're like, oh well, why don't we make it a black disabled woman from London, and it'll really help, like the rift between Scotland and England. It'll really bring it all together. I'm like, I'm not making a political TV show. No issue with casting, but no, I didn't want an American savior coming in and saving the day.
Yeah.
I know she lives in America and she comes in with an American accent, but she's Scottish.
Yeah.
And throughout the show, she reconnects with her roots and becomes more Scottish, still with an American accent. I didn't want someone from London who was from London coming in and saving the day. And another person was like, "Oh, kill off this character. They're too powerful. You don't need them." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the whole relationship is between these two characters." So you absolutely can go, "My gut says no, thanks, but no thanks."
Yeah. It's tweaks you don't, and we've chatted about this before, little tweaks you don't mind.
Yeah.
But if it's a case of, oh, I see you've written a story about, a guy gets stuck in Nakatomi Plaza and a whole bunch of bad guys try to steal some money. We don't think that works. We'd like to change it to a story about an elephant running around in a jungle. You're like, well, that's changing it too much. That's not a tweak. That's not tips. That's not notes. That's like something totally different. So yeah, definitely you should say no on that.
We've got a meeting with a producer who's worked with like Guillermo del Toro, etc., done Netflix, Matrix, whatever, and he's interested in it. He likes it. That's as far as he'll commit. He likes it. Yeah. But he said at our last meeting, I have notes. And we're like, okay. And he gave examples of what he'd seen that didn't work and kind of compared us to that. But I couldn't figure out in my head what he meant because he never gave the notes. He's like, we'll chat in 8 weeks.
Like, you mean person, you stop making me wait 8 weeks.
He's like, it's coming up till Christmas. Everything's shutting down. We'll chat in 8 weeks. I was like, November the 1st.
Exactly.
Right. And Debbie was like, always like, it's going to get to summer. And I'm like, well, it's coming close to Christmas. We'll come back in 8 weeks. But what Debbie translated that is like that maybe he doesn't like the humour in it. But I've always written with like a Joss Whedon style.
Yeah. Joss Whedon. That was nice, Joss Whedon, not current Joss Whedon. Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Yeah. Broke many hearts, I think, all that stuff.
But he just had to look at Dollhouse and it was all kind of there. But I'm nervous about what he's got to say. But I will listen.
Yeah.
And if I'm not sure of anything, the good thing is I don't have to go through this on my own. I can talk to my wife, and I can talk to Debbie, and I can say, "What do you think?"
Would you? I'm guessing you would find it scarier if you didn't have them to talk.
If I was on my own, I might have more of a severe reaction, and I could go one of two ways. I could either go, "Okay, you're going to make my TV show. I'll do whatever you want me to do," which is the wrong choice. Or I could throw my dummy at the pram and say, "No, that's ridiculous. How do you suggest that Effie gets her name changed to Eileen? I'm out the door."
Yeah, I'm out. You've ruined my entire story.
I've copyrighted the name Effie Dwyer everywhere.
I think it does help to have a core group, because I have one. I have a set amount of friends. You're included in that list, where if I need an opinion or a thought or something, I contact them. Yeah. That list did get thinner last year, where it's a case of I'm clearly not getting anywhere with some of them. But I think it is a huge help to have those people that you can access to and go, look, here's the conversation I've just had. What does it mean to you? Because what it means to you, it might be not even be real. It might be, I have notes. Oh my God, it means it's terrible and he wants to scrap it and rewrite it all. No, notes might be, let's set it in July rather than March or something.
Yeah, because there's a line in the origin script at the minute that I'm unbelievably proud of. You get wee moments where you're proud of it. And it's Effie drunk at a party in the woods. And it's kind of like a sea monster made of mud, right? It's called an Ichi, and they're basically just dripping oily water, and they're horrible fangs, claws, the lot. And she comes out and she goes to attack the party, and the guy was like, right, we'll have to get out of here. And Effie's like, no, you get everyone out. I'll deal with Black Lagoon Barbie. Like creature from the Black Lagoon Barbie. Yeah. And it's my favourite line of it. Because for so long I just kept referring to her as like, the woman, the ghost from the Ring. I kept, Saraku or whatever her name is. But I thought Black Lagoon Barbie, and this is before Barbie came out, and obviously Barbie's been out for a while, but the movie, and I was so proud of that line, and I will fight to the death to keep that line.
And the sad thing is, people may hear that line and go, yeah, that's because of Barbie and Oppenheimer. It's like, no, it was there before. Oh, it wasn't.
I also reference a Universal horror monster from like 1930 something. So,
Is it someone from the Black Lagoon, or is it?
I've never seen Creature from the Black Lagoon.
It's good. I got a box set of Blu-rays of all the Universal things, which is kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, I want them.
They're very good. There's a lot of special features and commentaries and stuff on them. So to listen to the background of these films from the 30s is fascinating.
There was so Universal Studios, the parks, are a weird and wonderful place, and they had done a musical based on Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I've watched a YouTube video about it. There's a great YouTube video about it, but I'll need to find out who did it, and it's just so good watching this video. It was so bizarre. But there's rumours that they're remaking it. And I think because the Mummy remake was obviously a smash hit.
The Brendan Fraser one was. The Tom Cruise one unfortunately wasn't.
They were too busy trying to set up their dark universe. They were too busy. Again, it was cart before the horse. Dracula has been made successfully so many times.
Yeah. Including though, it's like I'm doing another interview this afternoon with someone that was in a film called Wrath of Dracula.
Oh, okay.
And I'd got the screener for this film last year, and I thought, another Dracula movie, because I've seen a lot of Dracula movies, and it's like, another one. And they still managed to do something different with it, and it's a really good film. So as long as you're doing something different, but not too different, you don't totally change, turn Dracula into a kitten or something, then they do still work. And I was pleasantly surprised with Wrath of Dracula.
I've got an episode written for Origins as a suggestion, because you have to do that. You have to suggest 10 more episodes. And Debbie's put in some. I think James has put in one. Maybe he's not. I've put in a few. But mine is what if Effie never came back, and the whole town is like in black and white, and it's all like, everyone's got like bow and arrows and axes and swords and whatever, because the creatures just kept on coming. And
it's like It's a Wonderful Life type thing.
Like It's a Wonderful Life.
At Origins.
But like a classic Universal horror monster worlds, where you've got the big windmill, and you've got all this kind of stuff. And I just love the idea of doing like a what if, what if, and I just love the idea of like a black and white episode, like it was like proper Hammer horror, Universal 1930s horror. I just think that'd be a lot of fun. And the whole town, like seeing all the characters that you've grown to love over like 3 or 4 episodes, 5 episodes, and seeing them like in this Universal horror movie. I think that would just be a lot of fun. But we'll see what happens.
So 2024, I mean, you can never ask how the year's been for you, because it's like we're literally in the second week of the year. But does it feel different to last year for you, feeling wise and positivity wise? Because I know you and I have talked about, well, we're not just going to rant and rave and complain about idiots or deal with them anymore. And I've managed to stick to that. How are you doing with it?
Hands it is going, don't say it. Don't say it. Because I saw a thing today and I sent it to you and I was like,
yeah.
But it was Siobhan's birthday on Sunday. We were away. We got back yesterday. So this is my very easy way back into work. I'm chatting to you. I'm going to pick up on some stuff I need to do. I'm meeting another writer this afternoon for a coffee. Yep. Writers are so good at talking about what they're going to write, and meeting other writers and talking about what they're going to write and bitching about the industry, but not actually.
Well, I know for a fact that that other writer isn't Debbie, because she doesn't drink coffee. I learned on Threads yesterday. She drinks tea. She hates coffee. So don't ever make her a coffee.
No, I'm meeting Lorna King, who's a Scottish writer whose career is kind of on a lovely uptake, and I want Lorna. So I want Lorna to work with me, and I've got planned the Scottish animated series, the Fairy Tale one, which is an anthology for 6-year-olds. It's aimed quite young, and they're probably going to want like 22. I think they're going to want like 22 episodes or something, and they're all going to be about 5 minutes each. I don't want to write 22 episodes all by myself. 1, it's a lot of work. 2, I want other writers on it to bring different ideas to it. Yeah. Second of all, I'm planning Celtic Warriors / Quest of the Leoch animated series, which is all about the Leoch from Origins of the Leoch, but it follows this young girl who's 16 and her older brother William, and he gets chosen to be the next like one of the next champions, right? To train with the gods to become a champion of Scotland. And Mage is like, his sister's like, well, fuck this, I want to be one as well. So follows him and gets wrapped up in it all. So so that's probably going to be another 20 episodes. So I'm going to need more writers on that. If this all goes, and if Origins goes, we're probably going to get 8 or 10 episodes per season, 3 seasons. I'm going to want to bring in writers who are good at the genre, 1, and 2, who are in Scotland or Scottish or have Celtic ties.
Yeah.
I want to create a Bad Wolf Studios here where we can do all of this. I've got movies planned, board games planned, video games planned, comics, books, a lot, escape rooms. So I'm going to need an army, a small army of people in Scotland or with Scottish roots who can to work on all this. So
how do you juggle all that? All these things you just mentioned. How, because you're a husband, you're a father. You've got to sleep at some point. I've got
set days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, my working days. Siobhan works Thursday, Friday. So I've got my set working days. But I'm also sometimes I'm away on a weekend filming a wedding because you've got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
You just figure it out. Like it's not easy, but if you want to do it, you absolutely just figure it out because you don't have any other choice. And I'm in a weird position where the feature films with my producer in Australia, but he's wrapping up another film and looking at another 2. But he's also taken the first animated series to a Canadian production company and started that process. The documentary just went at that. It was like I got a phone call one day going, it's happening. So we had to balance that. I have to write a second draft of the feature and then more. And then I've got the meeting at some point with this Hollywood producer for Origins. So you juggle it.
It's like plate spinning, isn't it?
It's plate spinning until one goes. Unfaithful, we want to make Faithful at some point, so we're waiting to hear back from Uncertain Kingdom about whether or not we're getting money from them. And if we do get money, we've got our filming date set. It's March. It's the middle of March. It's our 10-year anniversary. It's when I'm supposed to be filming Faithful. Yeah. And we're waiting. If that goes, we'll find out at the end of February. Then I'll have to drop everything and go to Faithful for a few months.
Yeah. So it's just you've got to be very adaptable, multitasking, obviously, but
on the flip side, I'm going to be chasing another agent again soon because I dumped my agent at the start of the year because they were useless.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
To this day, they've not replied to me. I sent an email that said, this isn't working, I'm disappointed, and I think it's time for this to stop. No reply. I was like, cool, bro, thanks for confirming my suspicions.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to bother looking for another agent yet because I've put my script in for a thing where you're not allowed to have an agent.
Okay.
So I'm going to wait and see how that pans out. But I'm also just sitting in my hands waiting for. You're sitting in your hands waiting for something. So I was like, right, now's the perfect time to me go and write this pilot because I've got it start of the year. It's quiet-ish.
Yeah.
Weddings aren't coming up till later on in the year, like kind of like March time. I think March or April is my next one. So I've got time to sit down and do that.
So you do have time to have a little bit of a sort of a rest. Kind of. The brain doesn't rest, but the body might. No.
So excited to write this pilot.
Yep.
Like I've done a lot of work on it. I've written out who all the characters are, 10 episodes suggested, what the crux of the show is, what it's about, why it's about. And I've got an outline for like the first episode. I've got a scene by scene for the first episode, which will change probably as I start writing it. But I'm going to go watch some kids' TV shows today.
Why not?
To make sure. It's research, just to make sure I'm on the right path with it. But I'm really excited about it.
So we're gonna periodically catch up. I mean, we do chat anyway, but in this sort of thing, work related stuff for you, and I'll keep track of your progress throughout the year.
I'll send you the pilot. You can give me your notes.
Please do. Yeah, definitely.
But send me Mimi. I want to read Mimi.
I will, but it's a weird, and you've probably had it way in the past where you're like, what if it's terrible? What if it's just in my mind it works? Oh no! And I'd shot the first 2 Mimi short films anyway, but they don't work as standalone things. So that's all been shot. but the third one just won't be, which then ties the whole thing together. So, you know.
So you go back to the drawing board.
Well, I'm sort of back to the drawing board, but I enjoy publicising more.
Yeah.
I said
that for you, that's already seemed like a busy thing this year already. You're very active this year already.
Yeah. And I want to be, freed up time by not dealing with trolls, by not just tweeting at politicians going, "You're a moron." It's like,
there was a lot of that from you.
There was a lot, certainly was a lot last year. And I thought, you know what, it's not fun, it's not enjoyable. So this year I'm going to be doing more fun things, which is publicising filmmakers and writing reviews and doing these and stuff. So I'm going to try and have a nice, happy year this year.
Yeah, and that's hard. Like, that is hard, but it's got to be done. I can hear my boy crying in the background. But it's just got to be done. Like, I was the same as you. I was too busy fighting politicians, and I'm just like, it's not great. Me tweeting at politicians is not going to change anything.
Doesn't, but me watching a film and then telling everybody, "Hey, go watch blank," for example. Yeah, then that can make a difference.
I really want to watch blank.
It's really good.
But I'm trying to figure out when I can watch blank.
Well, that's something I suffer from. I mean, I'm not a parent, but so I haven't got that time restraint on me. But I do suffer. I can't watch all the films that I am able to watch. No. It just doesn't work. So
no, I'd love to. I want to sit down and watch it. I might end up watching it in 3 parts.
Yep. But it's good. I think as a writer, you'll get a kick out of it as well.
If I can get the boy napping in his bed for like an hour and a half, I can sit. How long is it?
It's not overly long. It's not like a 200-page thing or whatever. It's probably 100 minutes or something like that. But it's a good length. It's a good length for a film. We don't need every film to be 3.5 hours.
I like the premise.
Yeah.
So hilariously, I kind of wrote something somewhat. No, I didn't write it, but I've like plotted it. No, wrote a paragraph about it, and it's somewhat similar to what it, and I was like, okay, I'll put that in.
That's happened in my life. In the very early 90s, I wrote a plot about a serial killer that escaped through a time machine, went into the future, and then somebody who was a cop went forward and got him. Then Demolition Man came out, and I'm like... And then I wrote another one where a hitman goes to his class reunion, and then Grosse Point Blank came out, and I'm like, I give up. I quit. But these were all written or in some sort of draft form before these films came out, but I'm like, oh, forget it.
In college, I wrote a short film which was essentially Scott Pilgrim before Scott Pilgrim came out. But I didn't know what Scott Pilgrim was. And I remember reading the announcement in like Empire Mag something. And I was like, oh.
It makes you sad, doesn't it?
That's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I'm going to let you go for now, Fraser. But you're officially my first interview / conversation of 2024. So,
Honored, pleased, touched.
But I wanted to sort of pick your brains and just learn more about Fraser, the writer / creative, rather than let's talk about Ghostbusters and all that sort of stuff.
I think compared to what we were talking about in 2014 and when we were doing Cop Sponsors for those few years, I think I'm calmer now.
Yeah. I think you're, can I say, less sensitive? I think.
Yeah, my skin's thicker. Yeah.
Is somebody could go, actually, Fraser, page 5 is not good or whatever. I think maybe 2014 Fraser would be like, how dare you? There's nothing wrong with that page. Whereas now you'd be like, tell me why, and we'll talk.
And I'm less bothered about trolls now as well. We can just go in the sea.
Because there are trolls that just hate everything. Yeah. The best film in the world comes out and they're like, it's terrible. It's like, just don't ignore them.
Yeah. But yes,
which we are doing.
Yes, we are. 2024. Yes, thank you for having me to interview me and not talk about why Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is going to be the best of the 5 so far.
Yeah. And for all the writers out there, if you write one of these things, try either make it yourself or get a script editor.
I've given you all the advice I've got.
Yeah, that's it. Go do those 2 things.
When we learn more, we'll come back and I'll tell you more.
We will. We'll learn more in a future episode. But you enjoy your afternoon, Fraser. Good luck with the meeting as well later on.
Enjoy yours. Have fun with your next chat.
I will indeed. Yes. And I will catch up with you soon.
Catch you later.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.